Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick tutorial to remind you how to compare fractions. We're going to look at two different ways to compare fractions. Looking at these two fractions that we have here, we have 7/8 and 1/2. Now remember, you can use your benchmarks. Benchmarks of 0, 1/2, and 1. So when we look at these two fractions on a number line, like if I drew a number line, I know that 1/2 would be right here in the center. So if I look at 7/8, I know I can look at 8 and think, okay, well, half of 8 would be 4. So 4/8 would be right here at the half mark. 7/8 then would be closer to the whole number 1 over here. So I can just look at benchmarks and know that 7/8 would be bigger than a half because 4/8 would be the same as a half. So 7/8 would be more. So make sure when you start comparing fractions, always check your benchmarks first and see if that helps you. All right. But what happens if, let's change our fractions. What if we had 5/6 and 7/8? Well, then it would be harder because 5/6, that's 1 away from the whole number 1. 7/8 is only 1/8 away from the whole number 1. So really using benchmarks wouldn't help me with that. Another way you can do that is if you look at these denominators. 6 and 8, they're not the same size pieces. If I were to cut a rectangle up into 6 and cut a rectangle up into 8, those would not be the same size pieces. So I want to change these denominators and make them equivalent. That would give me the same size pieces. So if you remember how to do that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to list all my multiples for 6. So counting by sixes, it would be 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to list my ones for 8 and see if I can find a number that's in both lines. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. And going back and forth, I know I can stop because I can turn 6 into 24ths and I can turn 8 into 24ths. So when we do that, I'm going to turn that 6 into 24ths and I'm going to turn the 8ths into 24ths. Now to do that, to go from 6 to 24, it was times 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6 times 4. So whatever I do to my denominator, I have to do to the top to make them equivalent fractions. 5 times 4 is 20. All right, do the same thing for my 8s. To turn 8s into 24ths, it was times 1, 2, 3. So I do to the numerator as well to make sure I'm keeping that an equivalent fraction. 7 times 3 is 21. So now that I've cut these 6 into 24ths and these 8s into 24ths, these are the same size pieces. If I have 21 out of 24 compared to 20 out of 24, I know that 21 24ths is greater, which makes this statement true. 7/8 is greater than 5/6.